Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Bocart?
Here.
Alderman Ravenscraft?
Here.
Alderman Colbert?
Here.
Alderman Bell?
Here.
Alderman Wilson?
Here.
And Alderman Lewis?
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve October 15th, 2024 meeting minutes, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Special items, we have none. Appointments to boards and commissions. Christopher Kelly, Emergency Management Director. Staff report, please.
We don't have an emergency management director position in-house. We've for a long time used the county and relied on the county for that service. This is just a formal appointment signifying that Mr. Christopher Kelly will serve in that capacity on behalf of the city and represent us to SEMA, FEMA, you name it, in terms of emergency management.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion to approve appointment to the Board of Commissioners, Christopher Kelly, Emergency Management Director?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to schedule public meeting, schedule public comments. Lynn Hooper, Greater Bond Fem Watershed Initiative presentation. Just a reminder, we're going to keep everything to a 3-minute mark.
Good luck with that.
Talk fast, Lynn.
I can. My name is Lynn Hooper. I'm the hydrologist for Boone County. I'm working in Boone County Resource Management. Here to talk about the Greater Bond Fem Watershed, which is both Little Bond Fem, where Rockridge Memorial State Park is, and Bond Fem, where Three Creeks and obviously the northern half of the city of Ashland are. Next slide, please. So this is just a close-up showing a recent footprint of the city of Columbia to the north and the city of Ashland to the south. Next slide, please. And then this is the comprehensive plan map for the recent update to the comprehensive plan for the city of Ashland, showing that there will be additional expansion to the north in the Bond Fem watershed. We have 6 stream segments that are impaired for bacteria. We have a watershed-based plan approved by US EPA in June of 23. We decided that that wasn't going to get us to water quality, so we expanded. We have become the Greater Bond Fem Watershed Initiative. So in your packets, there was a report sort of detailing what the initiative entails. Do I have any more slides? Hey, I do. As part of the watershed-based plan, our consultant identified some spots that could benefit from agricultural best management practices, and you'll see that there are some areas around the city of Ashland. We do intend to pursue those as part of the initiative, but also some additional efforts, wildlife habitat expansion, One Health, and additional education and outreach. And that's what the plan looks like. That was on the report in the packet. Our partners. We have an extensive list of partners that are involved in this. We're very excited about that. And then questions or comments. What we have asked for in the report is for the Board of Aldermen to approve staff participation in our efforts. We value the city of Ashland as a partner, and we look forward to developing a watershed management plan that can be adopted by both cities and Boone County.
Any questions for Lynn?
Thank you. Oh, we also have a survey. I have a few copies of our flyer I will leave here. We're looking for lots of responses.
Thank you. And you did it within 3 minutes. Good job. Cynthia Grunter, please state your name and address, please.
Well, you were close. My name is Cindy Gunter. My given name was Lucinda, but I go by Cindy. But I have answered to Cynthia before, so I can manage either way. And I live at 603 Redwood Drive in Ashland.
Thank you.
Anything else? Phone number? Okay. I appreciate you all hearing me this evening, and Mr. Mayor and Aldermen, thank you very much for allowing me this time. And I'll get right to the point. When I signed up, I got right to the point too. I'm here to talk about the sidewalk along Liberty between Allegiance and the primary school. I have walked that road and almost been run off by a concrete truck more than once. It's very dangerous spot to be in. We do need a sidewalk there, and I can tell that you all know how important it is to have sidewalks in our city, because in the updated reports in Ashland, he said where sidewalks are provided, it shall be unlawful for any pedestrian to walk along or upon adjacent roadway. So I know you know how important those sidewalks are. And again, I know you've addressed it somewhat with the intersection, the three-way stop there at Allegiance and Liberty, which will help, but it still does not make a safe passageway. The kids that live in those areas, and not just the kids, the adults, because several of the adults in that area also walk up to the Y after work and after school to work at the Y. But those kids are cut off to the park, the swimming pool, the library, their schools for practices, everything. They cannot walk through safely. They cannot safely walk through that area. We need a sidewalk. And I understand there have been issues in trying to alleviate that problem and to get a sidewalk in there. About 3 years ago, Mr. Creel asked several people in the neighborhood to go to a school board meeting with him. I guess a project had been written, but it inadvertently left out enough money to put a sidewalk in. So at that time, Mr. Finley, Dr. Finley was school board president. They agreed to give them the money to put in, to make the shortfall to complete the project. That was 3 years ago, and we still have not seen a sidewalk in that area. I understand writing grants. In my former career, I was a grant writer. I've written local, state, and federal grants. I do have a clue what's going on. I mean, that's all, just a clue. And I know that that project needed to be altered, and that at the time, Mr. James Creel told me that the problem was with MoDOT. So I called MoDOT. MoDOT said, no, the problem was not with them, the problem was here. And they also told me that that grant was for 2 years. Now, it didn't have to be, the project didn't have to be completed in 2 years, but it had to be started in 2 years. Well, there are some flags out there, but I don't think that constitutes started. But she said they would lose the funding if it was not started by that time. And now, I guess there's some issue with it being a wetland. So I guess my question, and what I'm here to ask you today, first of all, is that we gotta have a sidewalk there. That all of that area is within the city limits. Kids can't get back. We've tried to do a walking school bus in that area because I would hesitate to say how many kids are there. And you all know we're still building. They're still building beyond that area. But we couldn't do it because there was no safe passageway. At one time, Mr. Finley did mow a path through there and put some gravel on it, but then somebody built a house on it. I don't know what they were thinking. But anyway, so we lost that spot. So now they're back to, and unfortunately, kids do use that road. And it's very dangerous. They're going to get hurt. And I would hate to say that we had a chance to do something after a child is hurt and we didn't get it done, because we did definitely need at least a sidewalk or a solution to the problem. I have one other thing on my notes here for you. Is there a project? Do you have somebody on staff that's competent to write it? And I'm not asking for the job. I'm retired. I'm done. But you need somebody who can write this project and get it done for the safety. I mean, those people are your citizens, and they are your future citizens, and we need to take care of them.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comment.
Thank you.
Public hearing, we have none. Introductions and first reading, Council Bill number 2024-38, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a subdivision warranty agreement for Forest Park Plat 1. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, for this evening. Is a request to accept the infrastructure, the streets and stormwater infrastructure for Forest Park Plat 1. As you may recall, several months ago, we worked with the developer, Powers Construction, regarding this project, and they were afforded the opportunity to submit a $25,000 bond in order to obtain construction permits for phase 2. With the terms of that, they gave them approximately, I believe it was 6 months, to complete the work, bring the deficiencies that were identified during the inspection process into city standard. That has been completed, aside from some minor grading and grass work, vegetative work that is needed in the large detention basin, on the south side of Everglades Drive, separating phase 1 and phase 2. We've spoken with our city engineer, Christina Lubert, on her recommendation and to the agreement of city staff. We recommend that this infrastructure be accepted, the $25,000 bond be released, and that Powers Construction has agreed to, and I believe they have actually submitted that already. They purchased a $1,000 yard bond for the remaining vegetative and dirt work within that basin. As for any concerns that the board may have regarding future issues based on these deficiencies and repairs that were identified, the acceptance of this infrastructure would trigger the beginning of the 3-year warranty period. So for the next 3 years from the date of acceptance, the developer would be responsible for any repairs identified.
Any questions for staff?
I think my only concern is that there is still a family there that's doesn't feel that it's been adequately addressed. Not saying that it hasn't been, because I know we've been out there several times. I guess I'm just, if you guys really do feel that this has been addressed appropriately. I mean, you're saying it's a detention pond, they're saying it's a retention pond, or whatever the correct
Semantics.
terms are. Well, sure, and I know it's definitely, they're seeing it from one side. I just wanna make sure that if we approve this,
Yep.
I don't know if anyone's had any further communication with them since, but,
I'm confident with this proceeding, and fully understanding that the majority of these items will become our responsibility once the warranty period expires. I have some difficulties, some issues with the most recent complaints that were lodged. Basically, I think we can all agree it's been quite a while since we've had any rain, but we have, 1 to 2 inches of standing water within a couple of spots on the detention basin, and that was determined to be from the complaining property owners, two separate properties, foundation drains and pool drains. So they've made it to where he can't get his machine in there to finish the work, and then complained about it. It's kind of cart before the horse on that regard. I'm confident that the developer is going to go take care of it as the weather allows for it to be completed. Frankly, the majority of this will probably be fixed naturally when we have some silt runoff that settles in the bottom and fills those low spots. And then it's a matter of getting vegetation to take to prevent future erosion.
and this is really outside of their property line, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a private party parcel owned by the developer
Okay, that's what
behind
I
their
thought.
property.
Okay, thank you.
Well, something that I've heard come up lately, which is just, I guess, the practice when putting in a pool and putting in a pump is to just run it to, the drainage easement. So it's really not your problem, right? But you are putting it on somebody else's
Correct.
property, which is, I don't know.
I mean, when they design the subdivision, they aren't contemplating a pool in every yard, so that.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying is like, I'm not here to say you can't build pools or I have a better spot to put it, but I do find it unusual that when there are issues related to pools, it's because the drainage is just put off on another piece of property, whether it's a neighbor or whether it's a city property or whether it's a developer property or whatever the case may be.
And happy to address that, Mr. Alderman. We dug into that during the Land Use Development Code, and what we found that is at the state level, along with adjoining, nearby municipalities, the city of Columbia comes to mind,
that is the standard best management practice. I was surprised by that. I thought there would be more regulations on that based off of that being treated water, but did not come across that to be the case.
So I guess all I'm saying is like, I mean, it is what it is at this point, but also it is difficult to say that the detention pond is doing its job. May not because of rain, but it's doing its
Clarification,
job.
it's not a pond, it's not meant to retain, and that's the crux of the issue. There's
Yeah.
still a little bit of water in the bottom.
Excuse me.
But, I mean, that was specifically the memo from Christina did not make it in our packet, but that is specifically why we wanted her to come do the final review and bless off on it, because that is her 100% specialty. That's why we hired her. And she's confident with that yard bond, once it freezes over and he's able to get in there and move the last little bit of dirt that needs to be moved, seed and straw it, and then it'll be operating as it was designed to operate.
I have a copy of the memo from Christina here. It came in today after deadline. So I didn't get it in the packet, but if anyone would like to read it.
It's not gonna help, it's gonna rain tomorrow. So can I get a motion to approve Council Bill number 2024-38, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a subdivision warranty agreement for Forest Park Plat 1?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Volkart?
Aye.
Alderwoman Ravenscraft?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Bell?
Aye.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Old business. Ordinance number 1496, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a subdivision warranty agreement for Forest Park Plat 1.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, for this evening is the second reading of the last item which we just discussed.
Can I get a motion to approve ordinance number 1496, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a subdivision warranty agreement for Forest Park Plat 1?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Wilson?
Aye.
Alderman Bell?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Ravenscraft?
Aye.
And Alderman Volkart?
Aye.
Moving on to new business. 2024-60, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen, Ashland, Missouri, selecting Greater Rivers Engineering for the Transportation Master Plan and authorizing the city administrator to negotiate an agreement. Staff report, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, before you this time is, the staff is seeking authorization to accept the Transportation Master Plan request for qualification proposal submitted by Great River Engineering and enter into contract negotiations for such. As you're aware, we recently conducted an RFQ process from multiple engineering firms for the completion of a Transportation Master Plan. That Transportation Master Plan will provide roadmap for the next 20 years as to what improvements that the city will be making within our transportation network. Two firms submitted RFQ proposals, Bartlett and West and Great River Engineering. We, as staff, 4 staff members conducted independent analysis of the submittals, and Great River Engineering was the apparent winner in 3 of those 4 reviews. With that, Great River Engineering has completed work before for the city of Ashland, specifically on the Perry Avenue Extension project. As this was an request for qualifications or professional services, no financials were included in the submittal, but the project does have an allocated budget of $75,000 that is approved for the FY25 budget.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion to approve 2024-60, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of Ashland, Missouri, selecting Great Rivers Engineering for the Transportation Master Plan and authorizing the city administrator to negotiate an agreement?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to B. 2024-61, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a bulk sodium chloride.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, before this evening, staff is requesting authorization to purchase bulk sodium chloride, also known as road salt, for the upcoming winter season. Currently, we are we continue our partnership with the Mid-Missouri Public Purchasing Cooperative, which consists of the cities of Ashland, Hallsville, Columbia, along with the county of Boone and University of Missouri-Columbia, to where we can increase our buying power as a group rather than individually. We currently have a contract in place from last year that was extended for the second year with Independent Salt out of Kannapolis, Kansas. Under the terms of this existing contract, we would be able to purchase replenishment salt at the price of $88.06 per ton. Based on review of the existing budget and current inventory, staff would like to purchase up to 200 tons for this round. Just one caveat to be aware is due to the inexact nature of bulk material delivery, I've increased the requested authorization amount up to $19,373.20 that's a 10% contingency. Based on the 200 tons, the price should be $17,612 even. The funds that we have for this purchase are currently on hand, and we've encumbered them for such. And that's it.
We use that much salt?
We have not bought salt for, I believe, 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And we still have approximately 100 tons on hand. Based on what we anticipate is gonna be a significant increase over the next year, along with availability and the unknown. I mean, if we have a wild winter, we can go through that 100 tons pretty quickly, so we wanna make sure we have enough on hand to get us through, but not be overburdened with our overburdened salt.
Any questions for James? None? Can I get a motion approving 2024-61 and a resolution authorizing the purchase of bulk sodium chloride?
So moved.
Can I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
2024-62, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a supplemental agreement number 2 with TWM Inc. relating to the TAP Grant Sidewalk and Trail Project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, for this evening. Requesting authorization to approve supplemental agreement number 2 with the consultant engineer on this project, TWM, Duvenot Wade and Merchant Engineers. As we have had additional unforeseen issues arise during the course of this project and requirements that come down through the environmental review process, we now are being required to complete a wetland delineation study. TWM also advised that they needed to complete additional survey work and will require more time for easement and right-of-way descriptions. Based off of these expenses, the total amount requested on this supplement number 2 is $15,123.18. As this grant funded project is an 80-20 match, the 20% portion that we would be responsible for comes out to $3,539, As you may recall, the terms of this agreed upon project with the City of Ashland administering the grant and completing a portion of the labor and utilizing our equipment for such. The City of Ashland was not responsible for any of the financial aspect of the project, but the Southern Boone YMCA and the Southern Boone School District are. I've obtained letters of commitment of funds from the school district and the YMCA for their respective portions of this supplemental agreement that total the $33,539 that would amount to our 20% required portion. You may recall the last meeting we had, or maybe it was, I think it might have been 2 meetings ago, the first one in October, we had on the agenda a supplemental agreement with MoDOT that was extending the timeline. The purpose of that was to account for the completion of the additional work that was required. So that was the administrative side, this is the financial side. So.
Any questions for James? With that being said, what do you anticipate the ETA is to start on this project?
So right now, under the agreement that we signed, that the board signed last time, the project has to be let, or we have to be completing letting of the project on January 1st of 2025, with anticipated bid opening on February 1st of 2025, and a contract award by March 1st of 2025, which that date I know is a required date. At that point, a lot will depend on weather and contractor availability, what those bids come back as, and you know, where things shake out in that regard. Once the contract is awarded, city staff can begin completing the sidewalk portion and the crosswalk improvements portion. The contracting portion of the project is merely for the trail that goes around the YMCA. All the other work is to be completed in-house. So we have a little more control on that schedule.
The wetlands portion that is creating the havoc there,
Yes, sir.
is that on the south side or on the north side of?
Is
it the trail area
The
or
entire-
is it the whole
If
thing?
you look up here, I just took a screenshot, so. As you can see,
Excuse me.
anytime there's blue on your topo is when we run into headaches with federal money. So that extends all the way up to the YMCA property. This pond, which was filled presumably as part of the WISE building project or prior, that's causing headache, and then that blue stream obviously is right in line with where the proposed sidewalk is going, so. Once that wetland delineation study is completed, we'll be in a position to bid the project.
Is that a current stream?
That is a drainage area.
Drainage area,
Yeah.
once it turns blue on a topo map, that's when it counts
And-
and causes problems.
In the sidewalk design, that is accounted for with the extension of an existing culvert to widen out that usable area for the sidewalk to then go over. The portions of the project, if you noticed in your packet that the YMCA was paying significantly more for this supplemental agreement than the school, is because of the relationship the percentages of affected property. Majority of that being on the YMCA property, they're paying the lion's share of this one. You know, ideally, I wish that they would have been able to identify this wetland delineation study when we were doing the cultural resource study that was identified way back when, but that didn't happen, so here we are today.
Is it possible to get that topo updated? I mean, like if, the YMCA filled it in, right? So I get that it shows blue on there.
So what they do is they look at historic photography, so just because they filled it in doesn't mean that honestly makes it worse if it's filled in.
Well,
That's why we have to do the study to make sure that they didn't bury an endangered species or harm an endangered species.
And I believe that the maps that they use
Would
come
they have
from
to dig it back
USGS. I'm sorry?
would they have to
There's
dig
nothing,
it back
there's
up?
nothing covering that area right now. The building footprint doesn't cover it, so.
That's what I was just curious about, is like how far back that goes, and if grading is changed of the land to continue to require money to, I mean, I'm pretty sure that spot
That
probably
wet
has.
spot's right here. So nothing's covering it currently, but clearly as part of that site grading, there's a berm here, so as part of that site grading for that property is.
I mean, I sat there watching fireworks, I'm pretty sure it's not that deep. But you know what I mean, like if those can be updated so that those don't become a problem,
In the future?
yeah. Jury's out, alright.
But, so that, I mean, that's still not talking about the south side of Liberty though,
It is.
in that
So,
project.
yeah.
That-
How's that?
That
affecting
little
the
stream,
south
see
side?
how it runs across that
So
one and then
those
goes
Oh,
across.
oh,
There,
okay.
the portion of the
Sorry.
study,
It's
as James
following.
alluded to, the school district's on the hook for $200. It's because this is the school's property here where we have an impact,
Gotcha.
and then up
Okay.
there, so.
And then when somebody develops that corner, they will have a wetland
They're
delineation.
Oh, not if they don't use federal funds.
I mean, they'll still have to comply with our stormwater regulations and whatnot, but, yeah.
Always happy to work with our federal partners.
So we're hoping maybe by summer to have a sidewalk.
Ideally, I would have loved to have constructed this sidewalk during last summer when we didn't have pedestrian traffic and weather to contend with. But it's the hand that we've been dealt, so as soon as we can get running on it, the weather's cooperative, we'll roll. And, depending on what those temperatures look like, we might still have a cold March to where the ground's hard and frozen enough that we can get in and start to do excavation.
I would say, as you continue to work through this, since we're not bidding out any of that sidewalk component, figure out when our earliest grace period by MoDOT is to start pushing dirt out there.
And I did, and they want contract awarded before any work begins, because I tried to get them to let me start this sidewalk months ago, and they won't do anything until contract's awarded. And the purpose for that is, if those bids come back to where it's just obscenely high and we have to kill the project, then the whole thing has to be killed, not just a portion of it.
So we can confidently inform Ms.
March
Gunter that we are
2nd.
working on, this is still working and the grant has been extended. It
March
sounds like.
2nd, James will be out there with the golden shovel.
That is if the board approves this.
I was gonna
So,
say,
that's true.
well, I'll make a motion.
But my question is, you just made a comment about if they cancel it, because if it's an outrageous amount of money, what happens then?
The funds that have been expended to this point will have been expended. And then the project will have to go back to the drawing board to figure out a new funding
The
mechanism.
engineering for the sidewalk will be completed, so it'll just be a matter of reallocating funds, but realistically, if bids come high, we work with the YMCA to figure out where fat can be trimmed, because they're the lion's share of the project with their trail on their property.
All right. Can I get a motion approving 2024-62, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a supplemental agreement number 2 with TWM Incorporated relating to the TAP Grant Sidewalk and Trail Project?
So Colbert at the first, right?
First, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to reports. Mayor's report. I was contacted by, Phil Martin about the lake at North Liberty Landing. And we had a chance to look at that as far as they want to donate that to the city, but I wanna make sure we're in the right.
Are we even into that phase,
No, sir.
any type of acceptance, so I
So
believe
we're-
I reported that to you already, but
All right.
we're not necessarily opposed to it, but we actually need to get to that phase, and I don't know that we're there quite yet.
Okay, all right. Then also a truck on Redbud, Ratcliffe, or it's a big utility truck,
Oh,
fabric.
yeah.
I had somebody talk to me the other day about that. It's parking east to west on that corner. Is there any way we could talk to that gentleman about moving it to the north or south side of Redbud?
Corner of Redbud and what?
It's just Redbud. Redbud goes around to Pinto Pony,
Redwood?
Redwood, I'm sorry.
Is that a baby Caterpillar service truck, is that what I'm understanding?
Yep. It does cause a blind spot, and there's a lot of kids that drive through there.
A lot of children that play in that area.
Yeah.
We can take a look at it.
I mean, I'm not opposed to him parking on the street, it's just that.
Now, let's make sure he's legally parked first. Let's start
Yeah.
with that.
Park on the other side would be better. Then also, I wanted to thank the APD, Southern Boone County Fire, Boone County Sheriff, and Columbia Fire for their response today and helping their child, so I want to thank you for all that. And that's my report. City Administrator.
The only items I have, which I think we touched on in our last meeting, but, new website, it's, more or less built out. We've been working on some training. Primary users had some training last week. Today we have all the department head users that'll be potentially working on the website and uploading information to the website, do some training. That training will continue into tomorrow. We have until end of next week, I believe, to kind of review content for the major changes that may need to occur that we in-house aren't expected to do. So we'll finish that review and get it over to them. I'll advise of the timeline after that, once I receive it. I don't think there's any intention of going live with it until after the first of the year as of now, but we're making good progress, looks great. I think staff's excited for the functionality. It's certainly a lot easier for us to use, add content to, manage content, whatever the case may be. So we're excited for those capabilities. Park plan, so we had mentioned at the last meeting that survey has closed. The consultant has compiled all that data. The steering committee for that park master plan will be meeting with them next week to kind of go over those results and see what the next steps for that plan are. We anticipate either at the November park board meeting or December park board meeting, that'll be presented to the park board as a whole so that they can make a recommendation or send it back for revision if need be. Obviously, once it goes to park board and they make some sort of recommendation, it'll come up across our table as well. Compensation study was reported last meeting. That is more or less done at this point. The consultant, I believe, is going to be calling in and doing a virtual presentation at our next board meeting. I think that's what we have planned for as of now. So they'll kind of report their findings. They have a couple of recommendations in there, a couple of different options that we could choose from. So won't be necessarily action of the board necessary at the next meeting. I'll discuss with city treasurer on whether we want to come back and ask for permission to pursue one path or another, or if we just want to incorporate that into the budget since we're in the budget process now, and just bring that forward as the compensation plan that is proposed for the next fiscal year. Since we already do that on an annual basis anyways, it's likely easiest to just take that data and start incorporating it into the budget. As a follow-up to that, one of the things that they will touch on is our total compensation package, so not only salary, but benefits and pension. And really where we take the largest hit is our pension plan when compared to our peers. So we're going to meet with them next week to kind of discuss what services they could provide to help analyze what pensions options are available to us and what that could look like, and decide if we want to spend a little bit more money with them to start evaluating that system as well. By and large, the data wasn't necessarily alarming. Most of our positions are either right in market or just a little bit on the outside. So the total cost of implementation for a new comp plan won't be overly burdensome for the city. So we're excited to hear that. They're also proposing a merit-based, step system, which we've had on the books for a long time, that we're supposed to be doing merit increases or merit review on an annual basis, but we just haven't had the foundational tools to do that. So working with them, we've been able to develop that as well, and that'll be part of their recommendation as well. So very good data that we're excited to present to you guys. So that'll be next meeting.
Thank you. City Attorney's report.
Nothing for the board.
Public Works Director monthly report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just touch on a few things that weren't on the agenda this evening. The Burnham Ave one-way conversion and the East Liberty Lane and Allegiance Ave stop sign addition. We anticipate those going live Friday morning. We're pushing out a press release tomorrow and some social media push throughout the remainder of the week. I'm coordinating that with Ashland Police Department as well. Stormwater, we're working on the Oak Street and Caspian Circle projects. Allstate Consultants is the consultant engineer on both of those projects. We are working to have the contracts awarded by the end of 2024 due to a discovered clause within the grant documents. However, we do have indication from the Boone County Commission that an extension is possible to be obtained should it be needed. We are going to continue to expedite that process in anticipation of meeting that required date. We should be bringing something back to the board during the December meeting for such. TAP grant, we went over that. Parks improvements, we went over that. Last thing, sanitary sewer. Staff met with Bartlett and West on 10/22 for a status update on the expansion project. Staff will soon be making a presentation and recommendation to the board. One thing for the board to kind of be aware of in advance is that due to anticipated price increases at the first of the year for several of the manufacturers, it would be in the city's best interest to go ahead and get the purchase orders issued prior to the end of 2024 to lock in the existing pricing. And that is all I have.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Board of Aldermen report. Alderman Bogart,
No report.
Alderwoman Ramcraft,
No report.
Alderman Colbert.
Yeah, I have a couple of things from the park board meeting. Christmas parade's scheduled for Friday, December 6th. So you line up for the parade at 5:30, judging at 6, parade at 6:30. So if anyone's interested,
Where they lining up at?
I'm assuming the primary school as well, but I can double check.
It's primary.
Yeah. I think it'll be like the normal parade route. Also, City of Ashland will have a car set up at Spooktacular, which I think you guys all saw the email for, so if anyone's interested, wants to stop by from 5 to 7 at the Optimist Club on Thursday. And then our park board meeting is moved to November 18th due to Veterans Day. And then I know that we also, there was like discussion about moving where the Christmas tree was. I think the park board has decided to leave it at the park. And I know that they're also gonna be looking at, budgeting for updating or replacing any Christmas lights that I know we have that line the streets, over the next couple of years, so, you know, kind of all things holiday, at the last park board meeting. And then, that's something that I was kind of hoping that, just to throw out there, and maybe it's probably something for further discussion, but I would really like, I mean, I think it would be, in our best interest as, you know, aldermen and women to, respond within a 24-hour basis of whenever we receive an email, even if it's just a received, we'll get back to you. You know, I think we owe it to the citizens to at least let them know or at least acknowledge when we do receive an email from them, so. That's kind of just my opinion, I guess, for that one.
Thank you. Alderman Bell?
No report.
Alderman Wilson?
No report.
Alderman Lewis?
The only thing I have, James and I attended the loggers meeting last week as delegates. Thought it was very informative. I learned a lot about what we offer our employees. It was, I think, to coincide with the compensation that Kyle was talking about. You know, we do have a fairly young staff, so a lot of them haven't started thinking about retirement. So I think it'd be a good idea to, you know, kind of feel them out, survey them as to what route, you know, they want us to go. Right now, we're just kind of in the middle with loggers, you know, because it gets pretty complicated, but the multiplying factor can be anywhere from 1% to 2% times the number of years that you've worked times your final salary, etc. And we're at 1.5 right now. So increasing that to 2%, you know, would increase the retirement quite a bit, but it would also increase the expense too. There's also matching funds that are put in. I think we're at 4%. Does that sound right now? And that can go anywhere from, we cover it all, up to I think 6% is the maximum with loggers. And so would the staff be at all interested in paying a little more to get a higher retirement at the end? You know, it's like, I don't want to force it on the employees if they don't want it, but I think getting their input would be pretty beneficial. And Loggers does offer free workshops for the employees, as long as you can get a hold of them, you know, ahead far enough to where they can schedule it. I mean, they're out of Jeff City, so it'd be a real easy commute for them to just finding and scheduling the time to get people together to hear what they have to offer. But I think in coinciding with talking about increases in salary, you know, it's like, where do you want it? You know, you want it now, you want it later. That's it.
Thanks, sir. Moving on, general comments from the public.
I've said my piece, but I really want to thank each of you for the job you do here. It's amazing. I appreciate it. And it sounds like you're already on my issue. So I appreciate that as well. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I would add, we plead ignorance to what's going on because we're not at these meetings. But really appreciate you guys following through and doing the tough work.
Thank you.
It's none of it's simple. Thank you, each and every one of you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
On second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.